Note, the point cap will not change. Each team's point cap will remain at 1,000 in 2012, so your team will look very different year in and year out, just like most teams do when the calendar year changes. Free agency, trades, drops, ads is any part of a professional owner's life, and that's what should be suspected here. It will create many storylines for the league in the years to come. Players that have been boosted by ratings an owner gives to a player will keep that rating going into next season. Next up on the list, retired and free agent player draw. One of the biggest events of the year, and one that may pack the most drama, the WAFL will select, at random, 30 players that will be leaving the WAFL due to retirement or a league change, whether that be moving up to the NFL or any other league. Then the WAFL will select 150 players that will go into free agency. And actually, that is a typo. We will be selecting, excuse me for just a minute, we will be selecting 200 players that will go into free agency. Those players can be re-signed by owners, only if the owners choose to take them over another player on the market. Owners will number their players 1 to 50 or 53, depending on how many players that you have, on their roster sometime between July 3rd and 9th. Once all players have been numbered, the numbers will be generated into Microsoft Excel, in which all numbers will be printed, cut out, and placed in the drawing jar. Numbers will be randomly selected for both drawings, and there is no limit to how many players from each team can be picked or not picked. Once a number is picked, it does not re-enter the jar. Once all 200 members have been selected, that becomes the 2012 free agent and retired players list. There are approximately 600 players in the league. Having 200 players either be out or free agents in the league is a pretty fair number. Once the players are placed on the list, they are able to be picked up by any team during the free agent period, expansion team or not. Each team's goal is to restructure and rebuild their team to get back to the 1,000 point cap mark. The free agent draw will occur sometime during the week of July 10th through the 16th. Number 3, expansion draft information. From July 17th to the 30th, owners will select which players are eligible from their team to be taken in the expansion draft. An expansion draft is the draft of role players. Owners must choose any 2 starters and 2 players ranked between 71 and 80, any 2 players ranked between a 66 and a 70, and any 2 players ranked between a 60 and 65 for a total of 8 players. That gives the expansion teams a chance to sign any one of these players. The expansion draft will have a total of 96 players eligible to be selected, but there will only be 11 rounds in the expansion draft, totaling up only 22 or 44 players taken, depending on if 2 or 4 teams join the league in 2012. The players not selected will go back to the team they originated from and will not be considered free agents until an owner drops them. If there is no expansion in 2012, then the expansion draft will be eliminated from the offseason plans, but the WAFL expects there to be. If an owner drops out of the league, then that entire team will go into free agency, and the players will also be eligible in the expansion draft. The expansion draft will feature just the expansion teams, and will most likely happen in a 1 to 2 day span. A wrap-up of info so far. Owners can tag, protect 4 players from free agency and the expansion draft. 30 players will leave the league due to retirement or leaving for a different league. 200 players will become free agents. 8 players must be selected to participate in the expansion draft from each team. There will be 11 rounds in the expansion draft. The expansion draft will take place sometime in between August 7th and 13th. Owner meetings are set up and designed to be before major events to make sure owners are on the same page with the rules and regulations of each event. Number 4, the 2012 WAFL Draft. At a time in between August 21st and September 17th, the WAFL will hold the 2012 WAFL Rookie Draft. 50 rookies will be eligible to be selected in the draft, no matter the number of teams not exceeding 16. The WAFL Draft will have its own thread on the WAFL forums, and owners will be placed on the clock to post their next selection. Then another owner will be in line to select. This gives every owner a fair advantage to pick his players, given that time is often a factor in owners' lives. This process is expected to be completed in 4 weeks, giving teams plenty of time to select. There are 3 rounds of the draft, with all teams participating. The first draft picks will go to the expansion teams, then the picks will go in order from the lowest record to the highest record, with the defending champ having the last first-round pick, and the runner-up having the second to last pick. In round 2, the picks will reverse in order, and then revert back to round 1 order in round 3. I will post when an owner is on the clock, and depending on how far or ahead of the schedule the league is, will allow for more time for the owner to make their selection. An owner will always have at least 24 hours to make a selection, unless objected to by owners during meetings. If an owner does not choose a selection within a 24-hour period without prior notice of not being able to make a pick in the 24-hour period, their pick will be lost, and we will move on. Number 5, 2012 free agency. During the time period of September 25th to November 19th, the free agent period will begin. This process will work just like the WAFL draft, with owners being on the clock on the WAFL forums and making their selections. Any player can be taken by any team. It is an owner's right to build their new team and how they want to build it, and free agency was chosen in random sample. Free agency class may be good or bad, but that is to be determined. Once a free agent has been taken, that free agent will be taken off the free agent list. There will be 15 rounds of free agency, but owners can choose to forfeit later rounds of selections if their team has already met the point cap requirements. Owners will have to scheme how they will get 50 players and 1,000 points, so looking over selections will be critical and fun. It's fantasy football brought to a team you actually can call your own, with players you can call your own. So, in summary, there will be 15 rounds of free agency, 3 rounds in the WAFL draft, 11 rounds in the expansion draft, 200 players into free agency, 30 players will retire, and 48 players will be tagged by the original 12 teams. Any players not claimed during the WAFL draft or free agent draft will automatically be put on the free agent list, a list of players included already on the WAFL website. These players will also be eligible for free agency next season. The same rules for free agency and adding players dropped by other teams still apply. No new rules have been needed to draft the 2012 outline, so all rules in the rulebook should still be followed. It should be noted that during this entire process of players leaving and joining your team, their rosters will not change on your team builder at all. The WAFL will post the final report at the end of November with an official off-season player movement sheet for each team. The teams can begin placing their new players, dumping their old players on their team. After each day, owners will compile the pictures of players that they have lost off their team so that the new teams can accurately duplicate all of the players' ratings onto their team. All ratings and attributes must carry over from one team to the next. It will be a roster checking job to check each week to make sure that a player's picture has been posted. Therefore, owners must not drop a player from their team until they put that player's picture up in the correct folder on the forum. For every player that is not posted on the forum, that owner will lose selections in free agency. It is very important that the league stays professional and has no players go missing. If an owner does not post a picture before they delete a player off the team, then that player can never return to the WAFL. Other topics will be discussed at the owner meeting when questions arise. This is an outlined plan but can still be altered by owners during meetings with majority votes. It sounds complex because it is complex, but hopefully the number breakdown has made it simple to understand. The WAFL website will have a place to leave your questions and comments on tonight's press conference, and I encourage you to do so. I also encourage you to answer or to send in your quick questions to the Scioto Sports Network email address, and they can be answered on Blog Talk Radio if there is sufficient questions, and I will call into the show. To all the owners and out there watching and listening to all the potential owners that are now hyped and ready to get started with their teams, I encourage you that you are participating in something that no one else is, that no one else has ever done before. Our league is special, different, and is something that we should all be proud of. We will get better and we will find ways to do so, whatever it takes within our means. On behalf of our sponsors and our terrific ownership and rider staff, I'm the commissioner of the WAFL, Cameron Irvine, signing off from San Marcos, Texas. May you have a wonderful rest of the week and enjoy the countdown to what is to come.